Welcome to Spirit School. My name is Danielle Sarank, also known as the Squamish Medium. I am the host of your Spirit School, where I will share all the lessons and learnings that I have uncovered through my intuitive development and mediumship development journey. I am a professional psychic and medium, an intuitive teacher and mentor, and I look forward to walking alongside you on this journey. Hello everyone and welcome back to Spirit School. Thank you for joining me. This is the monthly energies episode. I have to say these have to be probably the most popular episodes that I end up doing every month. I've been really enjoying getting feedback from you guys on the things that are resonating with you and the things that you are picking up from this podcast. I've received some really mind-blowing and heartfelt feedback from people. I shared one on Instagram where I had a woman say to me that, this podcast helped her get through a really dark time in her life. And, it's so touching to me because as a spiritual teacher, as an entrepreneur, as a mom, as a human who has failed time and time again, we're constantly asking ourselves, am I doing enough? Am I making impact in this world? Am I creating something that helps people? And receiving some of the feedback I've gotten this month from this podcast alone has really been mind-blowing for me. So thank you to the people who, put your energy out there and reach out to me. It's very touching. So thank you. And I'm so shocked we're in December. And one of the things that was coming in before I hit record on the podcast was Spirit kind of saying to us, look how far you have come. And don't forget to celebrate. That has come over and over and over again to me. Don't forget to celebrate. My personal journey, and I'll try not to talk about myself too much, but my personal journey, I started off this year on a heart monitor. I'd had a physical breakdown last year in my corporate job due to a toxic boss, a toxic work environment, and I was hospitalized from it. I'd never had experienced anything like it in my life. I pray I never will again. It was a huge wake-up call to me in my life. And this year has been really healing from that experience, really finding firm foundation in my just desire and passion in my mediumship work and my teaching and my mentoring. My mentoring has picked up huge this year and is my greatest passion right now in my work. And I think I had over 40 students. Yeah, I counted the other day. I think it was at 43 students this year, new students that trusted me with their development path. And that really softened the blow of the experience that I had last year, because it's been a real year of struggling with the transition in and out of the corporate world, which has been my safety and my security for the past many years. So one thing Spirit was bringing to me around this episode was really just look at where you were in January, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Look where you're at today. And holy crap, how far you have come. And just take a moment to pause and actually celebrate that. Now, there has been a very up and down year. I felt it amongst my friends, amongst my partner, with me. This year, and you could really say that about any year. I'm not trying to be super vague here, but a lot of up and downs. This was a year of breakthroughs for me. I had a word. I said a word at the beginning of every year. I know a lot of people do this, but my word for the year was courage. And so I am such a scaredy cat, and I did a lot of things that scared me, and I get really emotional even saying it because I'm actually really proud of myself. And I notice the massive breakthroughs I've had just from sticking to that word courage. And just every time I would get scared, I'm like, Danielle, you promised yourself you'd be courageous this year. Just freaking do it. And every time I did it, I was grateful I did. And every time I did it, there's this expansion that happened. So as we move into 2020, I'm toying with different words, but I really think I'm going to be calling in peace and ease. That's been kind of my secondary words for 2019, peace and ease. But, I'm kind of messing with it and playing with it. So you should start thinking about this too. And it's something I'll likely prompt you for the January episode is going to be, what's your word for the year? What's going to be your moral compass of sorts when you're making your decisions and trying to align yourself with the actions that you're going to be taking and aligning it with a word that ignites some sort of emotion and evokes some sort of feeling out of you. Now, there's two things that are popping up from Spirit right away for the month of December, and it's take a break. Life's a work, not a season. Get off the treadmill. So, as you know, with my monthly things, I pull cards as I'm talking, and they're usually Spirit's inspirations. And I'm also hearing my guides, and I'm hearing the world of Spirit speak to me at the same time. So, in a lot of ways, I'm channeling this information as well. But I was shuffling this card, and I saw this card at the bottom of the deck. So, I shuffled again, and it literally jumped out and popped out. So, this is for people. So, this is again, we're coming into holidays and Christmas and all this chaos time where we are trying to meet expectations of others. We're trying to meet the expectations of ourselves, and we get way overwhelmed. And does it have to be like that? I'm seeing more and more families now not giving gifts and giving experiences, or not giving gifts and cutting back on consuming things and garbage and recyclables, which we know are not actually being recycled. So there's a lot of people who are trying to simplify their lives. And so I ask you and I encourage you to look at this, getting off the treadmill and looking at the long haul of your relationships, the long haul of the things that you commit to do during the month of December. And just see if there's ways in which you can simplify your life and make more room for joy, make more room for experiences, not just doing. Don't just do all the time. Like, you really need to slow down and allow things to be done for you, but also really relish in the small moments that come up this month. If you have children, like, this is a magical month for kids. Probably one of the most magical months of the year, other than Halloween, I would have to say. So you really kind of want to slow down so you don't miss these experiences, so you don't miss these experiences that could be imprinted in your soul, imprinted in your mind. Like, do you ever look at somebody and just say, like, I really want to hold on to this moment for the rest of my life? And you take it in, every inch of it. There's going to be a lot of that happening this month. You're going to be all feeling the pull from Spirit to slow it down, to start paying a little bit more attention, and understand that the experiences that you have are multisensory. Don't just take in what you look and what you're seeing. Take in how you're feeling. Take in how your spirit is igniting. Do you get excited in this moment? Do you feel expansive in this moment? These are the things that Spirit's going to try to slow you down with this month. So anytime you hear your inner dialogue, your inner critic saying to you, slow down, that's Spirit speaking to you, okay? It's a really, really big thing this month. Now, the other thing is around sharing your voice. So this is the month where boundaries are trampled upon all the time. So if you are somebody who has been struggling with setting and keeping boundaries, Spirit is going to be this month giving you a boot camp. Spirit is going to be bringing you different opportunities in your life where you have a chance to say no, or you have a chance to do things slightly differently. And so don't waste these opportunities, and know that they are coming to you as almost a test from Spirit, but not only a test like that you can pass or fail, but more or less opportunities in which you can exercise this choice on setting your boundaries and actually adhering to them and seeing the benefits that come from your life from that. And the way Spirit's making me feel about that is actually more heart-centered, and I'm actually talking slower than I normally do. I'm actually talking softer than I normally do. So these are kind of the energies that come out of this exercise of sharing your voice. So, you might be expected by your family to bring the turkey and bring the stuffing and clean up after. And you might have to actually say, you know what? No, I think it's somebody else's turn to take this on. And I would be happy to pass along my recipe. I'd be happy to XXXX. But this is where Spirit is actually encouraging you to use your voice. Okay? Don't write in an email. Don't text it. Call somebody. Uphold your boundaries, and you will be given a gift. Spirit's actually showing me a gift, like all wrapped up. And I have a feeling that this gift is going to be expansion. Okay? So just know that that's really going to be coming up. Oh my God. And I just pulled the Unbound card. So this is obviously a message from Spirit that needs to be seen. You also need to start looking towards January, boundaries does keep coming up again. And so you have to be looking at, what didn't go so well this year, celebrate what has been amazing, but what you need to refine and work on further for next year. And again, boundaries keeps coming up. So where are you going to remain more boundaried in your life? I know for me, I'm going to try to be a little bit more conscious about spending, because I'm like the worst consumer. My husband says, he's like, you're the worst at consumerism. And I'm going to be a little bit more mindful of that, because I'm even looking around me right now. I'm at my desk. I have so many crystals. I have so many spiritual tools. And of course, they're not going to waste, but I don't need this many. I literally don't need this many. I'm looking at oils right now, Bach flower remedies, crystals, sprays, and anointment oils. it's just, the list goes on. And I keep bringing more of this stuff into my life. And though it does bring me joy, I also feel that we're doing things like this to avoid something and to cover something else up. So this is how come Spirit's wanting us to open our eyes to understand the reason why we make the decisions that we make, especially when we're purchasing things. Okay, nothing I say is actually for me, even though I frame it as me. I'm just trying to let you guys know I go through this too. What Spirit's bringing through, and all this is for me as well. Okay, so another thing that Spirit kind of brings through is there's a lot of people who kind of have breakdowns in this month. This is going to be an interesting month, and this isn't going how I expected it to go, because I love Sagittarius energy, and we are spending most of this month in Sagittarius, but maybe other people don't find the alignment with Sagittarius that I do. But Spirit's really bringing forward to me that there's going to be a lot of people cracking open this month. Now, here's the thing about being cracked open. It usually requires a bit of a breakdown. It usually requires a bit of you coming to your knees, for you to kind of be able to lift off and lift up. So just know this isn't for everybody. I'm actually seeing 3 to 5 people right now that have kind of been teetering on the edge, like holding things together, and you just need to cry. You just need to put yourself in your bedroom in a really safe space with a box of tissue and just cry about everything, even if it seems so silly and it seems like I have kids. I can't just like sit in my bedroom and cry. Yes, you can. You need to stop thinking that you know what other people are expecting of you and just let loose. People need to have this breakdown, okay? People need to have this breakdown in a controlled way, because if you don't do this, if you don't take the initiative to kind of let go and let the emotions out, something will come up that will make you snap, and that could actually be a little less graceful, a little less nurturing, and a little bit more forced. So I highly recommend maybe around the full moon, December 12th, you feel all those feels, okay? You feel all those feels. But the beautiful thing that Spirit shows me about this is what's on the other side of that is an unfolding. And it's an unfolding, and I'm hearing the word peace. It's an unfolding into peace, unfolding into a new level of understanding why this was happening to you, why this was happening for you, why you keep making the same decisions that you keep making. There's going to be a lot that will be revealed within this, what I'll term as the dark night of the soul. Now, this is all very winter-esque stuff, women who listen, and note that there are men who listen too. So apologies for leaving you out there, but winter is a time of deep inner reflection and work. This is, even though it's like a joyous time because it's Christmas. Christmas is everything bright and light and freshy and airy, and we put on our best face. But what Spirit's encouraging us is to not spiritually bypass or light wash this month, because the natural rhythms of the Northern Hemisphere is coming into winter, going into that darker space, going into that deep, deep seat of the soul. Where can I do this work? Where can I do this unsexy work on myself? So sometimes if we do get too wrapped up, too busy, too distracted, Spirit will bring us back down in some way, shape, or form. So just look out for this to happen. And when this happens, try to recall that I mentioned it to you, and that this is something that Spirit's aligning for you, because you're worthy and you deserve a breakthrough. So if you've been avoiding a breakthrough all year, Well, here's your time to shine, little miss. I hope you really kind of enjoy it. So, one thing Spirit's showing me about the outcome of that, I pull the Age of Light. So again, I feel like this is going to be deep realizations. I feel like on the other side of all this work that I keep talking about is going to be expansion. This is going to be a deep rooted spiritual connection. I feel Spirit's even showing me that if you do actually dedicate to maybe an every other day meditation practice, just 5 minutes, visualization, meditation, breath work, whatever resonates with you, there'll be huge outcomes with that. Whew, I'm a bit emotional. I just had to take a pause for a second because I had an emergency test come up on my phone here, and I'm actually doing this time-lapse video while I'm recording this podcast episode, just something I felt inspired to do. And I received an email from somebody who just gifted me something incredible that was unexpected, and I'm very touched. And as I was doing that, and of course, every time I receive something now, I get so emotional because I'm starting to actually see the value in what I offer the world. It's taken me a long time to get there, to truly see the value that I have in the work that I do with mediumship and mentorship and teaching. And so now that I've been on this receiving end this year, because I've done so much work, every time I receive something that's from an act of kindness from somebody, I completely cry, and I get so overwhelmed with love and emotion and just so much gratitude. And I think that's why I've had a really abundant year. I think that's why I've had probably the most abundant year I've ever had in my life, is because I really sink into that gratitude. I truly, every time an email comes through that somebody's made a booking with me, or an application comes through for mentorship, I literally tear up and cry, and I feel so honored, and I feel so grateful, and I feel that's the energy that we kind of need to be in. So the fact that I'm sidetracking and talking about this, just know that this is something that I think people need to hear. So just know that, look for every single little act of kindness coming your way this December, because it's going to raise your vibrations. It's going to put you in a place of manifestation. It's going to put you in a place of such intense gratitude that only amazing things will be attracted to you. Nothing that is toxic, nothing that is not in alignment will even stand a chance in your energy. So look for those little miracles every single day that come to you, okay? Else is coming up here. This month too, Spirit showing me, is a real time of the ancestors. And what are you trying to say to me? So there's a lot of ancestral energy around us all right now too, and that makes sense that we are heading into the holidays. One thing I do at Christmas, and I'll be doing this year because I'm actually hosting the big family Christmas this year. I feel like I'm adulting for my first time at 37 years old. But I actually set a plate for the ancestors. I serve up a plate, and I make a space at the table, or if there's not room at the table, I'll leave it on the counter, but set it up nicely for the ancestors. And I feel very much that there's lineages trying to come in. There's ancestor energy that's coming in that's really giving a lot of people praise. There's actually a ton of praise right now on people breaking chains this year, people breaking patterns, and doing the big healing work for the generations that had passed and the generations to come. Now, this is interesting the way Spirit brings this to me, and I know people will understand this, but you feel right now that you've been handed a shit plate in life. You feel like you've overcome abuse, you've overcome addictions, you've overcome like a lot of crap. So you don't actually realize until maybe you hear this message that you have done incredible work to break these patterns for your family, because what you had experienced reminds you of your dad, reminds you of your grandfather, reminds you of your grandmother. And so you don't feel like you've made an impact on that chain, but you have. So if you understand this, please reach out to me, because I feel like I'm talking to 3 people in particular who are going to be listening to this and kind of thinking, wow, like I have the same cycle that my family has, but you don't, because you're doing the work, because you're listening to a podcast episode like this, because you're attracted to spiritually developing and expanding your soul's consciousness, that means that you have done some work to kind of heal this ancestral wound, okay? So hear that, because you just need to know that there's spiritual beings on the other side who are your ancestors who are rooting you on for doing this work. Because it didn't have to be you. It could have been the next generation, but you chose to do this work yourself. Okay? So keep that with you. And I keep feeling like I'm talking to somebody who has a really bad habit of talking very poorly about themselves. This is kind of like somebody who doesn't feel worthy of saying that you've done any healing, because you don't feel healed, but you just don't even understand actually how much healing you have done, okay? So I hope that makes sense. Do reach out to me if that makes sense, because that came in pretty strong. And what I need to also say to you and anybody else who even somewhat resonates with this message is that you have a soul family on the other side, okay? Even if you're missing people in heaven at this time of year who have transitioned home before us, or left unfairly, or, went way too young, you need to know that these are your soul families. And they are still here for you. They are still within your reach. They are still within your thought. And they are still very close to your energy. And this is a time of year, especially as we come into the solstice on December 21st, that this is the closest that they will be to us all year. The veil is at its very thinnest. The veil that separates us from the spirit world is at its thinnest at this time of year. So don't feel alone. And if you do feel alone, know that that is perfectly normal. But do know that you have it within you. You have the power within you to call forward the loved ones who have departed, to come near you, to give you signs that they're still around, to light a candle for them. Tell them to give you a specific number and just watch that magic unfold. You'll have more vivid dreams of them. You'll have visitation dreams, which are always full of love, and they're not as confusing or scary as our release dreams. But you need to know Spirit's really coming through saying, please don't forget you have a soul family. Just because they're literally not here where you can embrace them like you once did, they are still connected to your heart. So even if you could just sit down and take some deep centering breaths and focus on expanding your heart out deeper and further and more vividly, and just with so much intense love, and then focus on shifting that energy to receiving love from your spirit loved one. Sometimes what we miss when we do things like this is that sometimes we have to stop halfway and just surrender and literally let our emotional bodies and our spiritual bodies go into a receptive mode, right? We're always doing something. Even in our meditation practice, we're doing stuff. But we have to kind of settle down, forget to actually take some action, and just surrender and allow spirit to penetrate our aura so that we can feel them, so we can hear them, so we can be inspired by them. So I feel like the people who choose to take that message from spirit literally and do this exercise over and over again, just for a few minutes, will be rewarded greatly with some pretty powerful and amazing experiences. And to kind of wrap up this month's energies, this one was very interesting, a bit different for me than months past, the way the information has come through. But you just need to know you're loved. You need to know that I love you, your spirit teams love you, your angels love you, your parents love you. It doesn't even matter what your experience was like with them. You need to know that we are all capable of deep love, of giving love, of receiving love, and being open to loving things coming our way. I really think if you could carry one word with you and one thing that I talk about in this episode into December, please let it be love. Let that be your mantra. I'm worthy of love, and I'm more than capable of giving every ounce of love I have and having enough to replenish myself over and over and over again, because love has no boundaries, it has no limitations, it has no judgment, it has no expectations. Love is completely powerful. Love is completely divine. And I am love. And this is something that Spirit really wants to end it with. And I know that this will sit with people very in unique and special ways. So I'm going to end it off here, my loves, and so much love and grace to you guys this month. And I'll catch you at the end of the month where we wrap up 2019 and head into 2020. And yeah, have a good one, guys.